and welcome to XTV News broadcast for Friday, November 1, 2024. Making the headlines tonight, BDF discovers drug plane landing by chance in the south. Social Security Board joins in on the opposition to Starlink. Screwworm gets closer to Belize, Agriculture Minister concerned, and soldier not down at Price Barracks. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
10, we discovered it by chance. We sent a patrol in that area of Graham Creek uh, because the CSI from the CSI is a radar from the Americans that did not pick up the signal, and also our radar here did not pick it up. So it was pure coincidence and a bit of intelligence too as well, that we sent that patrol at Graham Creek, and that is the result. That's what we found, and we too were responding at a recently cleared airstrip in that area. We were going to do a reconnaissance patrols, but we found the illegal airstrip and the Cessna at the same time.
How long was the plane there?
We don't know, but we believe that by what we found GPS and other equipment. I think that we found a satellite phone. So we believe that the plane was there for like 2 or 3 weeks maximum.
The origin of the plane?
We don't know.
Mexican side, I believe you found some sort of Mexican...
The origin of the plane itself, we do not know. But the plane had markings and it had a Mexican flag on the nose.
Sir, given that the radar wasn't able to pick up this plane, what do you believe that says about that system? And you think that needs some upgrading, or you think that they've come to be able to know how to navigate around the radar, something like that?
You have answered the questions pretty much. If the primary means that we have here at Ladyville doesn't pick it up, it means that it needs an upgrading. And I do believe that they have provision to upgrade the software. But I don't know the mechanics of the radar and the intricacies of it. But we do know that we require a radar that could have that distance around to pick up suspicious aircraft coming from wherever, north or south.
Is there anything found that would have indicated what would have been that plane's cargo?
Usually when planes land here in Belize, it's always for the same logical reasons that we have followed all the time. And we believe, because we cannot prove anything, but we believe that they were bringing cocaine.
They brought in cocaine?
Well, they brought in cocaine.
Yeah, the inside of the plane, the interior of the plane, they were stripped.
We believe, yes. And because of the preparations inside the plane, the seats were not inside, so that is the belief.
The Social Security Board, SSB, has added its voice of objection to Elon Musk's Starlink data service being introduced in Belize. The application by SpaceX was submitted on September 12th this year to the public. The SSB, which has invested in majority state-owned Belize Telemedia Limited, has pointed out that the capital of SpaceX significantly outmatches that of any local provider, and there are concerns for negative effects arising from this in terms of a potential exodus of customers from the company. The period for comments and objections to the PUC on the Starlink application concluded on October 27. Minister of Agriculture Hassan Mai today expressed grave concern that the New World screwworm is getting closer to Belize. There is now an infestation in Isabel, not far from southern Belize. In July this year, Minister Mai raised alarm when the worms had reached Panama, then Nicaragua. Stakeholders in the livestock industry are participating in technical meetings to address the potential threat that could negatively impact our still incipient cattle industry.
30 years ago, I was a technician for the screwworm eradication program. And so it worries me that we now have the pest in Isabel, nearby Belize, 40 miles south of Belize. It worries me a lot because 30 years ago, the industry was not worth what it's worth today. Right? Today, the industry is worth close to $100 million. 30 years ago, maybe it was worth $20 million. Today, there's large investments in improved pastures, in expanding ranches. There are investments in genetics. There are bulls that cost up to $15, $20 in Belize. 30 years ago, we didn't have that. It's a total different picture now. This is the economy of the country. And so it worries me that we have this pest just a few miles from Belize. So in speaking to my technicians today, I say, you know what, it doesn't hurt. Let's invite farmers who come out, come out. And today we have a full house. We have maybe like close to 60 farmers here or more coming to listen to the session. I have some experience that I earned 30 years ago, and I shared my experience with them, with schoolwomen, what we need to do, what are the things that I believe we need to do. Adan Velasquez will now address the part of how do you treat the animals now. 30 years ago, Kami, every single calf that was born was infected with schoolworms. The cost of managing and treating these worms, the animals with worms, was high. But today, it will be even higher because we have a larger herd. We export 40,000 a year. And so, it's a total different picture. So, Prof is explaining that to them. And I explained to them that the infantry that will help defend Belize against screwworm infestation are the farmers. They have to be knowledgeable. There are very few farmers today who have had experience with screwworms. This was 30 years ago. So none of the people here, very few, have had experiences dealing with screwworms. And so I have to explain to them what it is, how it comes about, what we need to do. And I was very pleased to see the amount of turnout today. It means that people are taking their business seriously.
A Belize Defense Force captain was knocked down in Price Barracks Thursday night after a regimental dinner at the military compound. Reports are that the soldier fell asleep on a road and he was run over by a major. The commandant of the force shared additional details today.
So we were having an event at the association, at the Families Association building. The events culminated at around 2 or so in the morning. The officer was trying to walk back to his barrack room, but for some reason he fell asleep on the road. It's an area that is poorly illuminated, and there were a slew of vehicles that were trafficking to go back again to their barrack rooms to sleep. And it so happens that one of those vehicles ran him over.
How's he doing?
He, by the grace of God, he is doing well. I don't know what he is made of, but he did survive. He was run over properly by a pickup truck. Yeah. And he is at home recuperating. He had minor injuries only. I think that he had abrasions and minor lesions to his lungs.
But the driver of the pickup truck, was he intoxicated? Was he drinking? Was he drinking speeding? Or?
Well, that I don't know. I don't know if it was drinking or not. An investigation is being conducted into that.
Is it true that his license to drive here in Price Barrack has been pulled?
Yes, that is. That is my prerogative, and usually when incidents happen like that, it is standard operating procedures that whenever anyone gets into an accident, his driver's license is suspended depending on the outcome of the investigation.
You say usually as if it happens?
It happens.
Usually?
No, it must happen then.
After the break, Belize targets Taiwan as a new market for shrimp exportation. Stay with us.
As motorcyclists, we know the thrill
We apologize for that interruption. Today at the Belize Agricultural Health Authority Baja Belize City office, a closing ceremony was held for the visit of the Taiwan Food and Drug Administration on-site inspection team who are in the country to inspect Belize's fisheries products. Belize already exports lobster tails to Taiwan and is hoping to tap into the Taiwan market to export shrimp as well. Natalie Gibson, the acting director of food safety at Baja, explained the process.
Our shrimp production sector was very interested in accessing this market, and it's one of the products that's included in the agreement with Taiwan. We have been exporting lobster historically to Taiwan, and so this is an effort to expand the scope of products that we can export.
And what was included in this process in terms of perhaps inspections and what have you?
So it really started out with documentation, where we had to submit a lot of documentation for them to evaluate our regulations, what authorities we have, what are our standards for the fish and fishery products, the processing, food safety standards specifically. And so we've passed that phase now and moved on to now the on-site inspection, where we have 3 FDA inspectors that came in to then physically verify inspecting our facilities. We've been to the port, airport where the exportations happen, and for the last 2 weeks now they've been on the aquaculture farms and in some of the processing facilities conducting their evaluation.
Gibson said a decision should be made soon and spoke of the different facilities that could benefit if the decision from Taiwan is favorable.
We have received a few findings, but they will actually complete their report over the next 3 months, and and then we will have a definitive answer. So currently we already have 3 facilities that are exporting lobster to Taiwan. And so now, as I said, we're trying to now expand the scope of the products. And so there are a couple, by expanding to shrimp now, there are a couple other facilities that would be included as well if we're approved. So I would say additionally, we would have, we have 1 lobster processing facility that also processes shrimp, so they would be included. We have an additional 2 shrimp processing facilities, and of course we have farms that then would supply or would send their shrimp to the processing facilities to be processed.
Today in Belize City, Beltrade, with support from the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB), launched its Blue Economy Investment Promotion Strategy. The plan's goal is to increase foreign investment into Belize's blue economy, with Beltrade serving to familiarize potential foreign investors, including local ones, with all the options available to invest in. Executive Director of Beltrade, Ishmael Kiros, explained more.
Economic diversification is one of the fundamental concerns for every country, and in particular for a country like Belize that is traditionally, it's been heavily dependent on tourism and agriculture, and especially post-COVID, we need to diversify the economic activities that we engage in. Now, we're already ahead of the game in terms of we're already a blue economy pioneer. There's a lot of water, sea-based activities that we're involved in, but it certainly goes beyond fishing, it goes beyond shrimp farming, it even goes beyond the tourism that's focused around our island product. And so Beltrade is the front line for investment, promotion, activities and interaction. And so the role that we play is really guiding the investors who we interact with towards what else is on offer. There's a lot of services, there's a lot of infrastructural opportunities for investment, and that's what we're particularly interested in promoting. So really just diversifying the activities that are blue economy oriented, and guiding investors to really bring foreign direct investment to Belize, and also to guide our domestic investors to what is on offer, what is possible for job creation in the country.
Rocio Medina Bolivar, the country manager of the International Development Bank, explained their role in support of the action plan.
Well, we're supporting the elaboration, the preparation of the blue economy strategy. Actually, we have been working together with Beltrade and key stakeholders in all the process. I think almost a year in the preparation of this strategy, and we are very happy to be here actually on the launch of this key strategy focus on how to increase, foreign investment on that particular area of blue economy in Belize. I mean, the IDB is already working in several areas, working on the blue economy arena. Actually, we have technical assistance and working also on an investment program focused on blue economy particularly. But for the preparation of the strategy, we provide technical assistance and provide, for instance, an engagement with key stakeholders in order to see, because this is a very comprehensive and holistic strategy. So we work on identifying the key sectors and priorities and confirm where Belize has the strengths on the different areas, do an analysis gap, also strengthening and technical assistance to Beltrade to actually how to address and bring more foreign investment for this key sector for the economy.
Felicia Cruz, the Director of Blue Economy, said the ministry will ensure that coastal communities benefit and that Belize's marine assets are protected.
The blue economy really serves to ensure that there is greater participation from coastal communities to ensure better opportunities for employment, for livelihoods, and to ensure that our coastal assets remain intact. And for our Ministry of Blue Economy, we are very much pleased by the action plan and the strategy, as it definitely complements our national blue economy development policy and strategy, which embraces opportunities to mobilize resources into key strategic sectors that were identified. Those are coastal and coastal tourism, aquaculture and fisheries, and of course the maritime transportation sector. Of course, there are other areas that are embedded within the strategy and action plan, but as a priority, those were signaled as garnering the greater support and greater participation for these coastal communities.
In early October, the Cabinet gave its approval for the repeal of the food and drug regulations, which include registration, licensing, and inspection. This will make way for the regulations to be replaced with legislation that the government says will be more modern and more aligned with current needs. According to the government, the new legislation would also focus on safety and the efficacy of pharmaceuticals, which are accessed by Belizeans. Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, the Director of Public Health and Wellness this week, explained what this all entails and said the process has only just begun.
Well, many of our regulations in health have been, they're very much outdated. There's nothing in essence that we can say is wrong with it, but we've got to ensure that we update our regulations in order to strengthen that governance aspect, that regulatory aspect that the Ministry of Health and Wellness should hold. So in order for us to regulate certain drugs and certain practices in health, we've got to ensure that we move with the times and that we update our regulations as well from a lot of these very antiquated old regulations from 1930s, 1920s, because a lot has changed and a lot has progressed in health. So we've got to move with the times. I'd just like to highlight that the food and drug regulation does not only encompass the Ministry of Health, but it's a big regulation that talks about food generally as well. So we have removed the health part and we went to Cabinet to ask Cabinet approval for us to do it. So the regulations have not been completed. We have only started to work on it. So this isn't something that you'll see a new food and drug regulation next week. It's a process and we have partners that come together to work to update it.
Who are those partners and do you guys have a timeline for it?
Well, we have the Drug Inspectorate Unit. They are the main persons looking at it, but we also have the help from PAHO, and the Drug Inspectorate Unit will also involve stakeholders like the Pharmacy Association and the BMDA. We try to consult as much as possible before we finalize on any new regulations.
It's also focused on quality because there are cheaper medications out there, but they might not be of the best quality.
Well, the Drug Inspectorate Unit is the unit that looks at the quality and the efficacy and what we we call they provide the pharmacovigilance aspect when we look at pharmaceuticals.
Back in June of 2023, Belize became the second country in Central America to be certified as malaria-free by the World Health Organization, WHO. El Salvador was the first in 2021. Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, the Director of Public Health and Wellness, said a lot of work went to achieving this status, but she said it is equally important and difficult to maintain.
This has been a work for over 5 years, because in order to be identified as elimination of malaria, you've had to have had at least 3 consecutive years with no malaria in country. So the assessment, it's not just about eliminating these diseases, but it's also to sustain these practices. So continuous testing, training of our healthcare workers, including our vector control officers, our environmental health officers, our community health workers, primary care coordinators. The entire cadre must be trained and must be able to think about malaria in order to test for it.
After the break, November is a month to encourage men to regularly seek medical care. Stay tuned. We begin our final segment with political news. We have confirmed that opposition leader Honorable Moses Shine Barrow and other members of his executive, including First Deputy Leader Ugo Pat, as well as Chairman Michael Perfit and Deputy Chairman Alberto August, have filed for an injunction against Honorable Tracy Panton and Philippa Bailey, the latter being former Secretary General of the UDP. This is in regards to the takeover of the headquarters of the United Democratic Party on Monday and Tuesday of this week. They have retained Godfrey LLP. In the month of November, there is a lot of focus on men's health. Men generally don't seek out medical care as much as women do. Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa says the ministry is trying to reach people who tend to avoid medical care, including men.
Yes, we have really vamped up. We have really tried to invest a lot in the health education unit, going out to businesses, going out to places where people would not normally come in to get tested. So we do fasting blood sugar, we do your body mass index, we have a nutritionist, we have the health educators, and we try to encourage people to come in.
In late 2022, Belize launched testing for the human papillomavirus, or HPV, which can lead to cervical cancer. A few years ago, an HPV vaccine was introduced to help control the spread of the virus. This week, Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa said the country has shown positive strides in tackling cervical cancer.
I had mentioned in my speech about the HPV testing that we're doing to try to eliminate cervical cancer. This is a disease that's preventable, and we must work towards getting as many women in the age range of 25 to 49 tested with an HPV swab. The HPV vaccine, this was introduced in 2016 or 2017, and the numbers, with the exception of the COVID times, the numbers are increasing and it is definitely improving. So that's something very positive for us.
In more health news, Belize is not currently reaching HIV testing targets, and it is a concern for the Ministry of Health and Wellness. On Thursday, Dr. Russell Manzanero, the head of the epidemiology unit of the ministry, explained the different initiatives that are being implemented to help reach more people in order to test them for HIV.
I think it's manifold. I mean, it's when you look at it, it's looking at the social determinants, looking at the social inequities, looking at what are how they have access to services. As a ministry and and everybody here, what we're trying to do is to let them know of the different testing modalities we have. We have increased our points of care testing, so we now have more rapid tests available. We're working along with NGOs such as BFLA, the CSO Hub, to get that kind of expand our services, even with NHI. So we're now working with more rapid tests, more specific and sensitive tests. We've gone to the point now to actually decentralize our gene expert testing from central lab. Now we have it at each district. So the turnaround time to get back those results for the patients and their management should be timely. Yeah.
Dr. Russell Manzanero also shared that Belize is not hitting HIV prevention and treatment goals. He said people are still dying from HIV-related illnesses and people are still spreading the infection, particularly in the Belize and Stan Creek districts. He shared some figures.
Globally, when you look at the picture and you're looking at this 95 trend, you're looking at those people who would be on treatment and those who are virally suppressed. We're looking at those people who should be not dying. So for us in Belize, it's different though. We're seeing that those number of deaths is still the same. We're still having individuals dying from HIV. Regionally, when you look in the Caribbean and globally, those numbers are on a decrease. Alarmingly for us in Belize, it is still present. We're still seeing people dying from HIV. So that's one of the concerns that we're having. Granted that we have these deaths too, and we're seeing that we should start seeing a change in the number of cases. Individuals will be living longer, individuals will be healthier because of the new medications that we have brought into the health system. We do have newer medications that have been approved by WHO, so most of the individuals who are on treatment right now have now transitioned to that newer regimen. What we have seen is that they're becoming more virally suppressed, which is a good news. So we're seeing that the level of virus is low. Remember, what we want to get here is U equals U. If there is not undetectable, it's untransmissible. So that's the goal, that we want our individuals to be at that. So once we could get them virally suppressed on these medications, then we know that that's the goal of the ministry and the entire response.
As for people who are virally suppressed and are undetectable for the virus and unable to spread it to others, Dr. Manzanero said that not enough people who are HIV positive are becoming virally suppressed.
The number of individuals that we estimate who are living in Belize with HIV is around 3,700. Of those, we have around 80% knowing their status. And of course, we have around 60% that are actually on treatment. However, the goal is to have those ones who are on treatment to actually be virally suppressed, and those numbers are still quite low. We're still at 30–40%, so the numbers are not reaching our target. Remember, the target is 95%. We're still around that one, so we have a lot of work to do. When you look at the numbers and you look at the people who are on treatment and virally suppressed, we probably have like 1,100 individuals at that level. So imagine we're working at 3,700 is the total, but from that we only have 1,100 individuals who are on treatment and virally suppressed. There's a larger number who is on treatment, but the goal is to have them virally suppressed.
And in court news, police officer Jairo Daniel Amador was found guilty on Thursday for extortion. The case dates back to October 1, 2022 at a checkpoint in Hatterville. Amador had initially said he had found the money, which he subsequently placed in his gun holster. However, he later admitted to taking the money from a Canadian couple whom he extorted, saying their car rental vehicle license had expired. He threatened that if they did not turn over $100, they would spend the weekend detained. In court, however, Amador maintained innocence. High Court Justice Derek Sylvester remanded him until November 25 for sentencing. The Canadian tourist and 6 others testified against him. And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on this station later tonight at 9 and again Monday at midday. Join us again Monday for another news broadcast. I am Marisol Amaya. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend.